freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
Hey everybody, welcome to SHOT Show 2023 in fabulous Las Vegas. We are your hosts for Gun Freedom Radio. I'm Cheryl Todd.
And I'm the other guy, Dan.
And we are excited to do our annual catching up. I love this moment with our awesome friend who wears so many hats. Oh my goodness. Larry Zanoff. He is with ISS and also they filmed 6 seasons of Hollywood Weapons. And if you haven't binged it yet, get on it right after this. After this, then go binge, right? Welcome, Larry.
Thank you for having me in.
Absolutely. This is such a fun, it's like home week.
It is, it's the SHOT Show's not complete without being with you guys. So it's always great catching up with you. Sometimes we get to catch up during the year, right?
Yeah,
and actually go out to work together. But here at the SHOT Show, it's a must,
So do you find anything to buy?
Here at SHOT Show?
Yeah.
Oh, there's so much to buy here at SHOT Show. There's so many different products and so many different companies here. We of course expanded into another hall, right? There's the hall across the way at Caesar's Palace now, and that's because of new vendors coming in and everything. So it's an exciting time in the industry. Gun sales are high, for a variety of reasons, and this is the place definitely to see all those products.
Fantastic. Well, the times that you two have worked together is not with ISS. It is not with Hollywood Weapons. That's with something else you do.
Yeah, we were doing gun stories, I think, last time we did it for Outdoor Channel. Of course, those were some of the guns that were rented from ISS, so we were still supporting that show. Outdoor Channel, of course, is the premier media outlet for everything guns, right? There's hunting shows and outdoor fishing shows and things like that, so it's a great network. You should watch it. Hollywood Weapons first, and then all the other shows. But yeah, they do a great job of representing gun ownership in a positive light, and I think that's a very important thing, and that's why I'm willing to work on those different shows.
And speaking of that, when we went, I had no idea how safe you are. I mean, you're way over.
Safety first, safety second.
First,
Yeah,
safety third.
as the on-set armor on whatever show it might be, you've got people's safety entrusted to you, and to do your job correctly, you've got to be safe. I think it's kind of a methodology, a way of working. It's just built in the safety into all those things. And of course, the shows we've worked on have been live fire shows, so it kind of takes things to the next level. But if you were on a movie set with me firing blanks, you'd see that I handle things exactly the same way. Safety is always the number one thing.
That's so important. And one of the things that I love about Hollywood Weapons is that you are recreating scenes from movies that we've all seen. And, movies, they don't always necessarily paint us gun owners in the best light, even if they don't really mean to, right? So their gun handling in a scene might not be amazing and that sort of thing. But you as the armor, right, you make sure that things are safe on the set. And then Hollywood Weapons, you take these scenes and you go, so could Bruce Willis have done X, Y, and Z, right?
Well, we try to take away the myth, and the mystery. Is it something that's really portraying reality or not? Right?
Yes.
I mean, some of these shots that you see in the film, the guy's got a handgun, he makes a 1,000-yard shot with it. That's going to happen, but let's test it and find out. And of course, we try to do the more iconic film and television shows. We were very fortunate and had people like Thomas Selleck and Gary Sinise and other actors and kind of giants in this industry cooperating with us, and they were willing to do it and come on the show because they thought the concept was so great. So kudos to Tim Kremen and Dan Graham, who were the producers and writers of the show. They came up and conceived this whole idea. And to tell you the truth, I hate being on television. I hate having my picture taken and all that. But I agreed to do those shows because I felt it was putting a spotlight on the role of the on-set armorer. And I wanted people to see the behind the scenes of how safe we actually are on set. And so that was very important to me. And the fans have loved it.
Well, the only person I know that could shoot a handgun 1,000 yards would be Chuck Norris. Did you do that?
Well, I can't do that, but there's so many things I can't do that Chuck Norris does.
Yeah.
So that's not fair to really, make that comparison. After all, he's Chuck Norris.
That's true. That's true. So, of the 6 seasons of Hollywood Weapons, where do folks find that nowadays? Because it is moved around a little bit.
Yeah, well, it always airs on Outdoor Channel first, because that's the network that actually produces the show.
Fantastic.
But then older seasons are available on Amazon Prime, on Hulu, on many different streaming platforms. So just do a Google search, how can I watch Hollywood Weapons, and you'll probably find a variety of channels that you can actually look, and see the programs and see. You'll never see the most up-to-date season, because that always lags like 1 year behind, because they have to air it first one on the Outdoor Channel. But there are ways to see all of them, and people binge them from start to finish. It's really cool to see, all the audience and everyone, how they, get excited about the show and everything. It's really fun.
What's your favorite?
That's
one
where I
that
was
you-
going.
Yeah.
Favorite episode?
Yeah.
Wow. I would have to say that my favorite episode of all was the Star Trek episode that we did at the end of season 1. We have Captain Kirk fighting the Gorn, and he develops his own gunpowder, by digging up all the elements and everything. And the test that we did didn't come out really well, but we got to go to Ticonderoga, New York, where they have the Star Trek original series set tour. And it's like a museum, it's an experience. And they have everything. They have the engineering department and the medical sick bay, and they have the bridge and original phasers. They even have an original camera from Desilu Studios that was probably used in the filming of the original series. And to stand there and actually see what they built, it was like recreating the Enterprise. And as a longtime Trekkie, I have to say that was, really, really cool. The bad part about it was they put me in a red shirt, and we all know what happens to red shirt
Did you at
people.
least have a
They
name
have this
badge?
symbol and everything, but you know what happens to red shirt people in
they're-
Star
yeah,
Trek?
yeah.
But luckily I survived,
Yeah,
and it was good. But Ticonderoga is a beautiful area. Of course, the original historical fort is still there, Fort Ticonderoga, and the experience, the Star Trek experience, is worth traveling all the way for it. So if you ever get the chance, you should do that.
Love that. So what episode or experiment or whatever maybe surprised you the most by the results?
Yeah, there's been so many, because one of the hallmarks of the show, and again, kudos to John Carter, our director, and he's also the expert on the high-speed photography that you see. But he always reiterates to everyone that the promise we've made to the viewers is we're going to show them the test, whether it succeeds or whether it fails. We don't cheat anything. We don't try to make it come out good. In fact, there was one episode where we did 5 different tests from a television show. They all failed. And people were going like, well, we can't have an episode where everything goes wrong. And it's like, yeah, we can, because that's what the show is really about. But I would have to say that the one that really surprised me the most was the pilot episode that we did. We tested a scene from Criminal Minds where we fired firearms underwater at a windshield. Because in the show, a car goes off into a river and the bad guys are still fighting, and a police officer pulls out his gun underwater and shoots the bad guy through the windshield. And to actually do that and reproduce that was pretty challenging. It was a surprise, not so much because of what rounds finally made it through the windshield. And to find that out, you have to watch the episode. I'm not going to tell you which one. But what was surprising was how well the firearms actually functioned under the water. because everyone was laying bets. It's like, yeah, you'll get one shot off, and it's going to jam or something. But it didn't. So watch the episode, and you'll see how cool it is. And tests like that are always challenging to me. I want to know myself. Did you really do that?
Yeah.
So that's what we go after.
Did they actually hand hold the gun and shoot it underwater?
We did.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That would be a little scary there.
It was, a lot of the things that we do are very, very challenging. We've dropped Terry on a descending line. We've done like a parachute drop. We've done things underwater multiple times and everything. But when you have an embedded safety protocol, and the good thing about the Outdoor Channel, of course, is most of their people, they've all worked on these gun shows before. So they understand all the protocols and everything. And when you have that so kind of ingrained in people, you'd be surprised the things that you can get away with as far as someone else might look at it and go, oh my God, that's dangerous. We should never do that. It's like, no, it's just another problem. You've got to solve the problem and figure out the best, safest way to film it.
You've worked on a lot of movies as well. What is the last movie that you...
Oh my gosh. The last movie I actually worked on was a movie that's out now called Babylon. I haven't seen the movie yet, so I don't know what made it into or didn't make it into the final cut, but I was down there as the armorer. There was a scene where a director in the movie had to shoot a Thompson, and they were having some difficulty figuring out, like, okay, he shoots it, but then what do you do with the gun and everything? And so they decided to put the armorer in wardrobe. And so I don't know if I'm in it because I didn't see the final cut, but I'm liable to be the guy who receives the gun from the actor in the film, and that was kind of fun.
Because you can't drop a Thompson.
You can't drop Thompson. They did make me shave my beard though, because it didn't fit the image for the time. So this is 2.0.
Well, they better at least have you in there because of that. And you
I hope so.
sacrifice the
I
beard.
saw myself in the trailer. They showed the scene in the trailer, but I don't know if it made it into the final movie or not.
I love all of this. So you wear so many hats, you do so many things, and so with ISS, what is your role actually in that corporation, in that company?
So I'm one of the managers in the weapons department. We have a little over 17,000 firearms at this point, and our job is to supply both the technical know-how, the safety know-how, and the props themselves, which are firearms, set up to shoot blanks, to television and movie industry productions, and that includes everything: live performances, reality shows, live events, and things like that, historical reenactments or whatever it might be. So we're basically prepping firearms, sending them out with licensed individuals to be on set and run them, and that's both national and international. We do projects all over the world.
And you have become a museum piece, right? Could you ever
I'm not sure
imagine?
how to take that.
I know, right?
So yeah, there's been a couple of cool things that have happened. Cody Firearms Museum kind of honored the Hollywood Weapons Show by including kind of a rotating clip of our episodes in their science and technology section. So that was quite the surprise when I visited there last year, and to see that was really kind of cool. We also have at the National Firearms Museum in Virginia, they have a display that's called Guns of the Movies, and there's several pieces from ISS that are on display there and everything. It was beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. The NRA does a wonderful job, and it was kind of cool because I actually had two pieces in the museum that I stood there and went, I built those with my own two hands. One of them was the silenced shot. Excuse me. One of them was the silenced shotgun from No Country for Old Men, and the other one in their technology branch was a Calico Light Weapon Systems pistol. That's where I actually started my career, was working for an arms manufacturer, and it was Calico. So it was kind of cool to go to a museum and see something you built behind glass and everything, and having people come in and see it and appreciate the work that you do.
So you helped build those Calico Space Age guns.
I did.
Underground magazines?
I did. That was my first job out of college, was as the quality control manager, and then I became production manager. And we were actually doing really well. We were in some competitions for some different SWAT teams that were looking for a new weapon. We sold several versions of it to different special forces around the world, and then unfortunately the California assault weapon ban, which restricted the magazines to 10 rounds, kind of put the company out of business, because that high-capacity magazine was really the heart of that weapon. Why would you want one of those if you could only have 10 rounds?
Aren't there, because ISS is in California, aren't there some unique challenges? Speaking of challenges, they're having all of the museum of things that ISS is, in a sense,
So, you know,
in a state that's so not friendly.
yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of a, image problem with California. I mean, there's a lot of restrictions there as far as what you can say. But we, as a manufacturer, as a dealer, and the movie work that we do, we have all the licensing required. We don't sell guns, so we don't get into that debate at all. We're there to tell stories, and the props, these firearms that we deal with, are part of that story. And that's kind of where we leave it. It's not about selling guns or being a dealer or anything like that. It's really more about the film industry.
But be able to make a gun something that isn't, like a space age gun, that's got to be fun.
It's challenging, but it is fun. That's where we get to be really creative. And most people who are gunsmiths, they like working with their hands. I mean, we are creative people, and everyone in the film industry is like that. So when you build something unique and special, be it the silenced shotgun from No Country for Old Men or a laser bolt rifle from Oblivion you give to Tom Cruise to shoot, it is special. It's fun. And you go to the movies. My kids, of course, now are much older, but when they were younger, they always wanted to see the movie the dad worked on.
Sure.
So I'd go out and I'd watch the movie, and you kind of watch the audience, and they get excited when they see the gun, or they clap, they yell, they throw popcorn at the screen, and you can say, I had a little bit to do with that. Not a lot, but just a little tiny part of it. And that's what keeps us going, because the job in the film industry itself is extremely difficult, extremely stressful. You miss a lot of anniversaries and birthday parties and family life events and everything. So if you're not really into it, you're not going to succeed. But most of us, especially people at ISS, we are into it, and that's what drives us, that creativeness and everything.
It's exciting to be on set.
It is.
And it's weird because you'll work on something for a week, and it's only 10 seconds of the film.
Yeah. People don't realize that, your average movie, your average hour and a half movie will take 16 weeks of prep, 16 weeks to 18 weeks of filming, and then another maybe 4 to 6 weeks of wrap. And every day you're producing seconds of that film. And then the editor, of course, is the person who magically strings everything together and makes it the beautiful product that we all go and enjoy seeing.
They're the hero and the villain, because
They are.
they're slicing and dicing stuff that land on the floor and stay there, but yet what they keep is the gem.
And we have this wonderful thing now on DVD called the director's cut.
Yes.
So sometimes you get to see those missing cuts that you didn't see in the movie theaters. And one thing I do want to point out, especially as we're still kind of struggling with COVID and everything worldwide, it's very satisfying, and it makes me happy to see that movie theaters have survived.
Yes.
There was a moment there
Yes.
where it was doubtful if you'd ever be able to
Yeah.
go out and have date night again and
Yeah.
take someone to the movies on a Friday night because of the whole worldwide pandemic, and people have persevered. It may not be exactly the way it was before, but the industry has survived, the movie theaters have survived, and I got to tell you, there's so many good projects that are soon to come out. You guys are going to enjoy it all. We've got 3 different westerns that
Love
we're working
westerns.
on. We just finished filming Extraction 2.
Okay.
So that'll be coming out sometime this year. Extraction 1, of course, was the #1 moneymaker for Netflix during the pandemic lockdown. It was a huge motion picture event, if you will. So we've got high expectations for Extraction 2, and just many, many others that are to come. And again, it's nice to see that we can look forward to those kind of projects, because at one point it was going to be nothing but animation,
Right.
because you couldn't have actors standing on a set without their masks. It's scary times, but we've all come together and we've all come through it.
We've also heard, after what happened on the set of course, the name is going to escape me now. Rust, thank you. That actual physical guns were just going to be CGI'd in all the time now, and that sort of thing. Has that conversation waned, I hope?
Yeah, I mean, there's many reasons why you should still be using a real firearm on set. There's, of course, the historical accuracy. You can't find a replica for every single gun that's out there. There's a functionality aspect of it. We have a lot of viewers that are of the movie-going age that are coming out of the military right now. They're veterans. They know what the guns sound like. They know what the guns look like. And the props, be it a firearm or any other prop in a movie, the props are part of what create the illusion of the movie, right? If you got the right cars, the right wardrobe, the right cell phones, but you have the wrong gun in a movie, it kind of busts that bubble and it ruins the movie. So you have to cater to the audience, and realism, especially in the age of HD TV and 4K film and things like that, the audience demands that realism. So we don't go out on a show, even if it's a big shoot 'em up, we don't go out there just with real guns. You always go out with a whole package. There's rubber guns, there's replica guns, there's real guns that shoot blanks, and you use the correct prop in the correct scene. The audience, of course, always sees it as the same gun, but it's really not. So I think people that were hesitant after the Rust situation have examined it and have come to realize that there is still a place for that in the film industry. But definitely that incident caused us to re-examine how things are done in the industry, to increase training and things like that. So
it was a mistake. But yeah, I mean, I know you learned. I've seen you on set. It couldn't happen. It just couldn't happen. You check the gun before, you check the gun during, you check it after, and somebody dropped the ball. And so why would the whole industry change because of one mistake?
Yeah, I think that first of all, thank you for the compliment. And again, it wasn't our equipment or our personnel that was out there. If it had been, I can guarantee that never would have happened. And there was a certain element of, hey, the system isn't broken. There's nothing to fix here. There was something that got done wrong in New Mexico. We're not going to comment one way or the other because it's still kind of an ongoing criminal investigation.
And we don't know.
And we don't really know, but I think that's why we're still using real guns. People realize that this was some kind of anomaly, and we don't know for sure what happened yet. We'll find out probably when all the court cases are settled and all that. But one thing that it did kind of put a spotlight on was that there wasn't actually a national standard for on-set armor. You had varying levels of competency depending upon what company you work with and so on. And so in the last year, we at ISS and the industry as a whole have been promoting more training and different things like that, and we're on our way to creating some form of national standards so that things like that can't happen.
That makes sense. All right, well, we got to start wrapping up here, but
It's been a year.
I know we've got lots more to talk about, but we'll save that for the next time.
Absolutely.
And one encouraging thing that I feel like I'm hearing you say is that we are mentoring up other people so that this is going to continue into the future. Because there was a time frame when Dan and I had Easy Firearms, our retail gun shop, that to find even an armor, to find a gunsmith was getting harder and harder, and I felt like it was a dying industry, a dying breed, a dying art.
It's not dying. It's alive and well, and there are different gunsmithing colleges throughout the country. In fact, we just hired a gunsmith from North Carolina. He was a graduate of Montgomery College. Very, very talented guy named Jonathan Nunn. It's hard to find those people for sure, but that's because again we're artists, we're creative people. Not every painter is a Picasso, right? But there are those gems out there that they're diamonds in the rough. We get to utilize them in Hollywood. Other gunsmiths go and build custom rifles. So it's not a dying art form. It will continue, especially here in the United States. We have a strong firearms tradition here in the United States, whether it's plain gun ownership or it's hunting, activities or things like that. And I don't think that it's a dying breed, so don't worry about that.
So glad to hear that. Larry Zanoff, it's always an honor
Always
and
a
a
pleasure.
Thank you so much for taking some time
Thank
with
you
us.
for having me on again. Thank you. See you
And
later.
tell folks how they can follow everything
Again,
you do. And
Outdoor Channel, Hulu, Amazon Prime, watch Hollywood Weapons, watch Gun Stories. All these programs, again, show gun ownership in a very positive light. We need that out there. And anything that you see in the movies, always wait and read all the credits when you're done and look and see who the armorer is. You'll start recognizing some different names, and we'll see you at the movies.
I love that. All right, stick around. Lots more coming up from fabulous Las Vegas on Gun Freedom Radio.